Hello, this is the second compensation lecture video for the missed classes last week. I already uploaded the first video that was the compensated video for the November 21st, and this video should be the second compensation video for the missed 23rd of the November. And I will keep continuing uploading two more videos for this week require classes. So you will have total of four lecture videos before we meet in the classroom again. So I am supposed to meet with you guys in person on the next week. From now, the print time is November 30. So it will be December 5th, the next Tuesday. And now I'm recovering from the COVID. Still, my voice quality is pretty bad. It's pretty awful, but I can speak a little bit louder than the 2 days ago, in which I recorded the first video of the lecture. So I think I'm getting better a little bit day by day. So after 5 days from now, so December 5th will be definitely I will be a little bit better shape for sure. So I think I can meet with you guys, and the risk of contagion should be extremely reduced because the next Tuesday, December 5th, would be the 2 weeks after I got diagnosed my COVID. So I think 2 weeks time span, the time buffer is enough from me to you guys between us uh, to prevent any kinds of probability of the contagious situation of the COVID. But I strongly recommend you to protect yourself before coming to the classroom. If you are afraid of getting COVID from my side, then you can sit a little bit um, backside of the chair, or you can take your own mask. That should be strongly recommended. And also, I still recommend you to have the vaccines for both the flu and COVID, because it is highly anticipated that in this winter season, two or more types of cold will be pretty much trending in South Korean region. Also, the flu is the seasonal um, disease that regularly comes to South Korea in the winter season. And the COVID, I felt extremely the frequent cases reported to me in direct ways that there are more people getting COVID in recent several weeks, including my family. So, and the second time of the COVID is still worse. It's really bad as the first time. So I got the backache, I got headache, I got fever, I got sore throat, I got running nose. All of these symptoms I got, and I also got the loss of getting tasted. So I cannot taste anything right now except some bitter taste. That's the worst kind of taste that I can experience. So I cannot have any sweet, I cannot have any salty, I cannot have any other um, taste that I really would like to do. So it's the bad. It's really bad to get the COVID as an experience. So not to get COVID is the best way for your life. So I strongly encourage you to have a vaccines if you have enough money and enough time. Right. So for this lecture note, I will talk about a little bit of the special topic that would be pretty much interesting to many of you guys, because majority of our classmates are from the Central Asia, and the majority part of this lecture note is also about the Central Asian region. So we will talk about the potential economic impact of Russian-Ukraine war on the global economy, especially some neighborhood regions such as the Caucasus or Eastern European countries or the Central Asia. And my methodology to deliver some important topics to you is that I collected several research papers and I read it. So I summarized some important parts of those research papers, including the overview, the main story, the methodology of the research, and the main result of the analysis, and also the conclusion, which means that it should be some kinds of difficult to some of you guys if you are not familiar with the types of academic research methodology. So this lecture note and maybe the next one, I will write down my own lecture note about a new special topic, which is the climate change and its policies. Those two lecture notes running to the end of semester would be harder than the previous three lecture notes or the four, because I will tell you a lot of different research methodology with the higher level perspectives from the researchers, not the policymakers or the officers at the level of international organizations. So they are more into some academic analysis dimension rather than um, writing easier words or with the easy expression like the figures or graph or tables. So some of you guys will have some challenges or some difficulties in understanding some part of that. And I would say that doesn't matter. If you understand some core conclusion or the big pictures of those papers, then I think that's enough for you. You don't have to understand 100% of what I'm talking about. Um, I will definitely target a little bit higher level of understanding, but that's my target. And your targeting level can be a little bit lower than that. So you don't have to try your best to follow every sentences that I deliver you. Um, I will just do my things and you can understand just some part of that. And if you draw out your own picture by using your own words and the ways of expression, for instance, if you can deliver some important insight or important facts of our discussion to your friend when you have have a drinking a cup of beer or soju with your friends for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I think that's enough. That's enough level of understanding. Right, so let's go for our first paper. Before that, these are papers that I will mention and list once, and I will give you a little bit of summaries of the first four papers. The last paper, Umba and Wasum 2022 paper, is published in a journal that I don't know about. But this is a little bit narrow perspective. So this paper studies about some economic impact of Russian-Ukraine war on the United States of America. That's not my country and not your country as well. So if you're interested in some specific economic impact of this war on that country, then you can go for the library of our university or the 통합정보 system, integrated information system of our university. Then you can search this paper and you can download it as a PDF format. So you can read by yourself if you're interested in more about that. But in our class time, we're um, um, dominantly discuss about the full paper that dealing with more general perspectives of the economic impact of this war on the global dimension of the economy. So I think that's better starting point for all of us to think about what's the impact of this war in terms of language of economics. You can watch some mass media like a news or the newspapers about the stories of this war, what's going on the east side of Ukraine and what's going on the west side of Ukraine or what's going on the Putin's house or something. That's all the political things, and the journalists, the reporters, or any other maybe YouTubers, they can deal with this war, but they don't have any deeper insight based on the academic knowledge, the background academic knowledge of economics. But we need it. We definitely need that kind of insight to understand the real economic meaning of this war around the world. It is also important to know that there are millions of refugees from the Ukraine. We'll talk about it a little bit later. It is also important that there are more than millions of people around these neighborhood countries that suffer from the shortage of the water or electricity or the kinds of the basic infrastructure. That's really important in terms of the humanity part. That's one part of our life, and we need to keep this one in our mind. But as a student majoring some economics or business stuff at the level of university, we definitely, that's our duty to dig more into the academic insight by using a little bit more rigorous methodology of the research to find out the meaning that has not been usually covered by the newspaper. And that's, I think, the social responsibility for the academia, including you guys, because you guys are students, and students are the big part of the academia. And you guys are not kinds of recipient who just sitting there and uh, pretending to be careful about what the professor talking about, but thinking about your girlfriend, boyfriend, or doing some cell phone things during the class time. That's not your duty. You can definitely do that, and there is no changes in your life. But if you are more serious about your identity as a student, because I guess all of you guys are upper division students. You guys are not freshmen. You guys are not sophomore, right? You guys are more than senior or junior. Then you're about to graduate, but before graduation, in the third year or the fourth year, or maybe longer term of years, if you're coming back from your army service, then you should definitely thinking about what kind of things I can achieve from any of classes in this university that has not been obtained from the outside of the university, outside the campus. And how could I make that kinds of academic achievement into the real accomplishment after graduation? What is my competitiveness that can be obtained from the university? And how can I deal with that? That's one important question you should keep in your mind until your graduation. And if you find the answer, or if you are trying your best to get the answer, I think that's the best option, best case scenario. And that was also one of my homework since I entered my own college about 20 years ago. And I'm still seeking for it. I'm still looking for the answer. How can I be more competitive than the other guys? And how can make an edge or make a difference by obtaining a little bit more knowledge from the academia? How can I make some part of that into my own thing? So branding myself as a researcher is one of my ongoing topic that I cannot find the answer fully. So I'm on the same line with you guys. I'm still looking for it, even for the more than 20 years since I entered college. So these kinds of working, you know, reading research papers together in the classroom, that's the kinds of normal type of format of the class in the graduate school. And you can have a little bit tasted with this and the next lecture note. You will learn a lot of um, research outcomes from different research papers, and you will not understand some part of that, but you can understand the other part of that. If you try your best to understand that, then that's really good because that's yours. That is colored by your own identity. because you consume that knowledge into your brain or your body, and you can fully understand that, or you can listen a part of that, that you can tell, okay, so I understand this part and I think that's pretty much important, or I understand this part, but I don't think that's pretty much important to us. You can tell like that, then that's yours. So that should be a part of your competitiveness. And I believe these kinds of creative and more self-leading study is the main task for the upper division students at college. And I saw a lot of cases from my American experience for the 6 years. I taught a lot of lower division or upper division undergraduate students in the United States as a graduate student instructor. And one of the biggest thing that I was culturally shocked from American students was that the first one, they are stupid. They're really stupid and stupider than you, definitely. I believe so. But they are incredibly stupid, but they are also surprisingly creative. They are looking for their own way for the answer. And sometimes their effort is so silly, so stupid, and so dumb, but they are not disappointed. And the teacher, including me, the professors, never point out the answer. They just guide the way that the students can find the answer by themselves, but they never point out, okay, this is the answer, memorize it, and write down in the exam. That's Korean style, right? Or their Asian style. They never do that. So they grow up slowly. So the upper division, the freshman or the sophomore, Korean graduate students are way better than the American students in the academic achievement because a part of the first year or the second year coursework at the college level is extension from your high school study. Is really similar. Learn a new thing, memorize some part of that, understand the other part of that, write down everything you know in the exam, got A. But in the upper division class, American education system dramatically changing. So the professor just draw out some question, providing background knowledge or the theory or ways to find out the answer. And the rest of the time, students try their best to find the answer by themselves and they discuss it with the others, even discuss it with the professor. So, but the South Korean students still find the answer with help from this professor side, and they try to write down the right answer. They believe there is only one unique right answer for every question. That's wrong in the academia level. They can find out the better answer than the answer suggested by the professor. But in their third year, fourth year, Korean students are so busy to prepare for their job placement, so they try to ignore some difficult level courses offered by some creative professors, and they find out some easier coursework to squeeze more time for their job placement or job market preparation, and they really do that. So their academic achievement level at the end of their college life is way worse than the American guys. And the life after graduation is the same, extension from the upper division class of the college. So American guys get paid way better than Korean guys because they can provide the creative ideas to their own companies because they were trained for more years than the Korean guys. So if they are given some task that should be pretty much difficult to solve, but they can find the answer because they are trained well for years. But South Korean guys got the same task that's pretty much difficult for the first year or the second year guy in the company. They never cannot find the answer. They find the right answer, but there is no right answer because the company ask them to be creative to find the best strategy to maximize their profit or something. But the South Korean guys never trained themselves like that way, so they're struggling. So they decided to get out of the class, or they are just kicked out by the company. So I just hope to for you guys to train yourself to read more papers. That does not give you any insight directly, but by repeating the kinds of words, you can find out the answers by yourself. And that answer is a unique one. That answer is your answer. And maybe your answer be more evaluated than the other guy's answer. Maybe not, but that doesn't matter because that's the practice. You know, before graduation, everything is the practice. And if you do more practices, then you will be the better person. Think about the Kobe Bryant who died several years ago, but he was pretty famous for his time for the practice. He was one of the best NBA player. He was one of the best basketball player in the world for more than 10 years, and everyone respect him a lot. And he was not super great when his rookie season or the first ever seasons, but he just tried and tried more. He came to the practice facility at the 5 a.m. or the 4 a.m. That's way earlier than the regular practice time. He came the first one and he left the facility as the last one. That kinds of practice made him one of the best player in the NBA. The same thing for the seasons. You will be have the real test from your first job placement, the first day, or even first month of your first job. You will be asked to do one thing greatly, but that thing was never done in any time in your life. So that's your first experience, but you should be the best one in doing that work. That's impossible. That's impossible for most of people, but you should do that because that's company. You will get paid money. If you cannot do that, you cannot get paid. If you do that, you get paid more. That's the logic of the society you enter a few years later from now on. So you have several years, or if you maybe 1 year or something, a lot of time to practice by yourself, thinking creatively, um, doing what you want, and find out your own solution, your own answer, and you believe yourself, the kinds of things. With discourse, maybe or not. Okay, so I tried to collect some papers that are already published because the published paper is more polished one. In order to get your paper published, there should be a lot of processes required. And one of the most important processes of the publication of your research paper is that the peer review. Peer review means that another professor will read your paper and evaluate that, pass or fail. So you may think professors are not taking any exam anymore in their life, but if you write down your research paper, you will be tested. You will take another exam by writing your paper and submitting your paper to a journal. Then the journal committee, 2 or 3 unanimous, sorry about that, unanimous referees will evaluate your paper and they give you exact score, like 100 or okay, you get passed, or maybe 65, you rejected or something. So the published paper is a little bit getting more credibility. Okay, so it is worth to read. So I got one paper written by the Leah Jett and the other guys, published in 2022. That's talking about the economic cost of Russia-Ukraine war, published by the World Economy, which is pretty good journal in the literature of economics. And we will also read on a paper written by the Gwinnett and the other guys in 2022, which is talking about the implications of the war in Ukraine for the global economy. So this is not actual the research paper. It has some part of research methodology, so it is worth to dig into that kinds of methodology definitely, but it's published by the World Bank Polish report. So this is more like the Polish paper rather than the research paper. We also read the paper written by the Idildin and the other guys, published in 2023, which is talking about the impact of the Russian-Ukraine war on the global financial markets. It is published in the International Review of Financial Analysis. I don't know about this journal. Maybe pretty good journal, maybe not. I don't know about that. This paper is more focused on the potential impact of this war on the financial market. As we already covered many times, um, the world financial market is tightening. The tightening financial market means that there is increasing interest rate. So for the people, it's getting harder to borrow some money or spend some money with the borrowed money. So the financial market is tightening in terms of a chance of borrowing some money. And we conclude that the Russian-Ukraine war has another side effect on this financial market in various ways. And this paper will talk about the details of the kinds of story. Wezir 2023. I like the soccer player named Wezir a few years ago because he was playing for my favorite soccer club, which is Arsenal in the British Premier League. Now, I think he's in the Turkish league because he is Turkish German. So the Wezir is the famous family name of the Turkish. So this guy wrote down a paper about the global economic consequences of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So this is working paper. Working paper means that it is not published, but it is being circulated among the researchers. If you complete the first draft of your working paper, your next step is circulate your paper. You can upload this one to any kinds of good internet site to be read by the other researchers, or you can apply for some international conference and you can go to the conference and present your paper to the audience. So you can get more comments about your paper from the audience, from the floor. That's really important to upgrade or to revise your quality of your working paper. So you can go to the second draft or the third draft or fourth draft. So you can do the kinds of things repeatedly. So you can finally get the best version of your research paper. Then it's time to submit your paper to a journal you select. So the working paper is before submission to a journal, but now it is being circulated by the researchers. So it is being upgraded day by day. So we can read this paper as our first paper about the Russian-Ukraine war. Okay, that's the plan. So the first paper, Liazet, it's very hard to pronounce some family names from some regions. I can pronounce correctly the Korean family names for sure. And I can also 95% correctly pronounce the American or the Canadian family names, but the European family names are really difficult, but that's definitely better than the African first names or, the Thailand first names. That's impossible to pronounce. If you read the Thailand spelling or Thailand character, you will be genius one. It is impossible for me. Definitely the South Asian countries like Saudi Arabia or maybe, I don't know, maybe Israeli character. I cannot read and um some Southeast Asian countries' family names are really difficult to pronounce. But anyway, so I even cannot figure out the nationality of this guy. Liazet, I don't know about that. But as an overview, this paper is quantifying. Quantifying means that it shows some outcome as some numbers numerically. So this paper numerically analyzes the impact of Russia-Ukraine war on the global economy. So in order to get your research outcome, in the numerical ways or quantitatively, the research method is very important because that's a kind of function you can use as a filter. Also, the statistical data set is also very important. So in any research paper with these quantitative works, importantly and clearly report what kind of research method they can use and what kind of data source they collected. So their research method is the National Institute Global Econometric Model. Shortly name is the NIGEM. I never heard about that. So I cannot tell you what kind of research method they used. And unfortunately, in this paper, I read the whole paper of this one. They do not um, open up the black box of this model. Good paper, really good paper, represent line by line their model. Most of econometric modeling is mathematical expressions, so equations are the key to understand about their economic modeling or econometric modeling. But unfortunately, this paper does not open up the numerical expression of this modeling or the brief mapping or definition of this modeling. So I cannot figure out what kind of model they actually use to analyze this quantitative research about the Russian-Ukraine war. But briefly, they say that they use the reduced form of the New Keynesian multi-country model with 48 countries and the 7 macro regions. So it is multinational model that's first guess we can get, and they divided these 48 countries into the 7 regions. So they will more focus on the intra-regional effect between the country and also inter-region effect between one region and the other region. The New Keynesian model means that they assume some market inefficiency inside the model, such as the price rigidity or the wage rigidity or market imperfection, such as the monopoly or the monopolistic competition market that represent a part of imperfection or inefficiency in the market mechanism. New Keynesian methodology means that the models of New Keynesian things assume that the market cannot be super perfect. Um, in opposite side, the neoclassical model assumes that the market is the near perfect or really efficient. They do not assume any price rigidity or the wage rigidity, and they usually assume the perfect competitive market mechanism. They also assume that perfect information symmetric situation that usually broken up in the many real market environment. So we can guess secondly that this modeling assumes that a lot of the realistic part of the market mechanism. So as a result, this war represents a massive cost equivalent to 1% of the global GDP in 2022. Do do you guys have any guess about the global GDP in 2022? I don't know. You can easily Google by yourself, then you can get the 1% of that money. So the cost is estimated by $1.5 trillion valued at the purchasing power parity rate. So in terms of the PPP, $1.5 trillion are the economic cost of this war, which means that without this war, the global GDP would be up for this money. 1% grow more without the existence of this war. But due to the existence of this war, the global economy lost potentially this amount of money because there are more social costs, the demolition of infrastructure, deaths of many people, refugees, infrastructure broken down, political tension, economic sanction against Russia. Their kinds of things are collectively estimated by this model with this country and these statistics, and they argue that okay, $1.5 trillion are lost. Europe is the region affected most given trade links to Ukraine and Russia. We already know that, right? And its reliance on energy and the food supplies from those countries. As we will see, the Germany is the biggest example. More than 70% of natural gases the German consume annually is come from Russia. And Russia decided not to supply this natural gas to any Western European countries because Western European countries are the main countries who did economic sanctions against Russia. So as a return, Russia decided not to supply natural gas to Germany or France or Italy. So that will be a part of social cost we should estimate. The GDP in Europe is expected to shrink by more than 1% in 2022. So the Europe is one of the regions that is affected most negatively from this war. And we'll continue the next pages in the next time.